there. It's been a long time since we kind of visited. And just like so many households in America, we're getting ready for the Super Bowl, right? Everybody wants to have those great snacks and foods to eat on while you're watching the game. And we're doing that with a twist, right? So, what some of you may not know is that my husband decided to go meatless, to go vegan. And a lot of people do that at the beginning of the year. So our Super Bowl celebration is going to have a little bit of a twist. It's going to be all vegan, no animal products. We're going to have a triple dip threat. That's what we're going to start out with for our Super Bowl celebration. And so one of the things that I'm going to make is this is going to be a yogurt-based curry dip. We're going to have a roasted onion dip. And then we're going to have a black bean dip. And so what you see laid out is all of my trays of the ingredients for all the different dips that I'm going to make. So not going to be very complex, pretty straightforward. And so on the next few slides, you're going to see the lineup of your ingredients and how they're all put together. But I do have a couple of tips for you when we're talking about these ingredients. I know that it's hard going out there trying to get stuff in the COVID world. And so you pretty much have to make things happen with what you have. So one of my ingredients here with my black bean dip, it asks for fresh jalapenos. I'm not going to the store the day before the Super Bowl looking for an ingredient. I had some jarred jalapenos, so that's what I have here. And then instead of going heavy on my cider vinegar and lime, I'll go a little bit lighter because I have the acidity from the pickled jalapeno, okay? And then here with my yogurt dip, I'm using a vegan dip. But if you need it to be more high protein and you want to use one of those non-fat Greek yogurts, you can certainly sub it in for that. And when we get to this particular recipe, you'll see that I have some pineapple preserve here. I don't have chutney. So if you have peach, pineapple, one of those types of preserves, and you want to add it to your curry dip, you can certainly do that. Now, another thing you're going to see, I already started chopping onions. And yeah, I cheated because I didn't feel like chopping my onions by hand. So if you don't have a food processor, no worry. This knuckle buster is a great way to break down your onions, your ginger, your garlic, and all those kind of things. If you don't have this, then you can always take a Ziploc bag, take your garlic and your onion and put it in there and just start smashing it. It's a good way to work out your aggression and get your ingredient broken down. So let's go ahead and get started on making these dips. Hey, how's it going? Yes, today is the day. It is Super Bowl Sunday. That's a fantastic American pastime. And yes, we're putting a flag on the play in terms of having meat today. That's a woo-woo. So in our triple threat lineup, we have our roasted onion, our curry yogurt, and our black bean dips. These are great dips, a wide range of tastes that are going to appeal to any Super Bowl crowd. So what's first on our prep? Dip. Because this particular dip takes the longest. There's a lot of inactive steps here. And so let's look at that ingredient list. 1 cup of raw cashews, 3 cups of chopped onions, that's about 2 medium onions, your kosher salt and black pepper, a can of cannelli beans, 15 ounces, 4 teaspoons of lemon juice, 4 teaspoons of cider vinegar, and a half teaspoon of onion powder and paprika each. So when we're looking at these ingredients, that can be intimidating because raw cashews are not everywhere, but you may be able to find raw almonds, Brazil nuts, macadamia nuts. You just want to make sure that they've been blanched if they're the almond nut and you want to get that skin off of them. But if you don't, it's just going to give a different color to your roasted onion dip. It doesn't really matter what kind of onion you use. You can use leeks, you can use red onions, just about any onion will do. But if you go with green onions, it's going to give a totally different color to your roasted onion dip, right? And in the South, we don't call it a tint, we call it a tinge. So if you put green onion and process it,
your roasted onion dip is going to have a green tinge. Just keep that in mind. So we also are going with the olive oil, but if you have canola oil or avocado oil, that'll certainly work. And many times when I'm showing recipes, I always talk about kosher salt. And the reason for that is kosher salt is one of the least expensive salts to buy in bulk. I know it's like become a really popular thing to have Himalaya salt and gray salt and vanilla salt, but all of those salts are finishing salts. They're expensive, and so you really want to use them not as a part of the salting in the cookery, but as a part of the presentation and the finishing of whatever it is you're doing, right? Then you want one 15-ounce can of cannelli beans. Now, if you don't have cannelli beans, white kidney beans, then look for Great Northern Whites. You could also use chickpeas, but if you use chickpeas, then you're having a roasted a roasted red onion hummus, right? Because typically we use chickpeas to make hummus. And so what the chickpea and the cashew are doing here are replacing sour cream or cream cheese and those kind of things. And also there's no mayonnaise. Then your 4 teaspoons of lemon juice and cider vinegar are going to add some tartness because onion is very sweet. And when you roast onion, you're going to pull the sugar out of it. So we want to balance that out. And your sweet paprika is going to add another savory note, a sweet note, but also going to give your dish some great color. So just keep in mind all of those factors when you start pulling it together. So I do this a little differently. I'm going to chop my onions first, and I'm going to put them in the olive oil and salt in a pot or Dutch oven. I'm going to stick that in the oven at about 350 degrees for 30 to 45 minutes. Then I'm going to put my cashews in that water and let them soak. If you don't have cashews, it's quite all right to use almonds that have been blanched and you've rubbed the skin off, macadamia nuts, or Brazil nuts. Just keep in mind that whatever nut you use is going to change a little bit of your taste and texture, okay? And also, you can use yellow onions, white onions, red onions. When you use red, they have a little bit more sweet. So as you're putting this all together, think about your personal taste and how you want this to flow. So, of course, in putting together the dip, you have a lot of options. If you don't have cannelli beans, then of course you can use Great Northern Whites. If you're using garbanzo beans, then it becomes a hummus, right? But you can certainly make a roasted onion hummus. It's all about what you have available and what's going to work for you. So second in our lineup is our Southwest black bean. This is one of our simpler dips to make. And if you don't have black beans, you can also use pinto beans or black-eyed peas. You want to stay away from kidney beans. You can use baby lima beans because they have like a really thin coat on them and they will puree up pretty nicely. Now, again, on any of these recipes, you want to make your substitutions. You don't want to be running to the grocery store the day of the Super Bowl, which is what's happening right now. You want to make it happen with whatever you have. And you can make this as complicated or as simple as you want to. Of course, we have an ingredient list there that has the garlic, the cumin, the chili powder, and all of those things. But if you really need to get it simple and you have a leftover jar of salsa in your refrigerator, 2 cans of drained kidney beans to that jar of salsa, that will work just fine. But if you want to go for the fancy smancy kind of thing, then by all means, get your lime juice, your tomato paste, all of those things, your cumin, your cilantro, and put that all together and make your black bean dip. Now, last in our lineup is a yogurt curry dip, and it is the simplest of all the 3 to make. And it is also one of the most versatile, and you'll see that later. So when we look at this curry dip, we're seeing that it has a half cup of mayonnaise, a half cup of yogurt, 2 tablespoons of cilantro, 1 tablespoon of chutney, a teaspoon of curry powder, a half teaspoon of minced ginger, 1/2 clove of minced garlic. So a lot of people want chutney in a curry. If you don't have mango chutney, don't worry about it. When I made my own, I had some pineapple fruit spread in the refrigerator, and so that's what I used to put together my curry dip. So whatever you have, make it work. I don't know how strawberry would work, but I do know that pineapple or peach and even orange kind of works pretty nicely with the curry in the yogurt. Also, I used a vegan yogurt, but you could use any kind that you prefer. Mine was coconut based. You could use an almond milk base. You could use an oat milk base, or you can use a Greek yogurt at the level of fat that you need. Okay, so we're going to put that all together. Now, the great thing about all of these dips is that they can be made ahead. So you've got about 4 or 5 hours to the pregame and things start happening. So you can actually now start working on your dips and have them all ready in time for that kickoff. Now, you may be wondering, how do all three of these work together to have that great Super Bowl spread? Check into part 2 and you'll see how it all comes together.